What's happening, everybody? My name is Rico Lamite, founder of Cannabis Global, decentralized media broadcast organization, and I'm also a um, co-producer and host of the State of Cannabis News Hour. You can get your daily dose every single weekday morning, 9 a.m. Pacific, 12 p.m. on the East Coast. So earlier this week, came across a story, and it really got to me. It really got to a few of my colleagues in the industry as well. It was from Benzinga. I know they're having their conference this week too, and it was entitled "Why Are Outside Execs Pouring into the Cannabis Industry C-Suites?" And the reason why it really got to me is because I've seen a lot of the pain. I've seen a lot of folks in our space getting pushed out by people in suits that have never been in the industry. This is 100% their first rodeo show, and they seem to be winning, at least monetarily, when they don't have a unique product. They don't have longevity in the industry. They don't have the connections that a lot of us have. And I really thought it was an important point for me to move our people forward, period. We have the tools, we have the connections, so we need to make sure that we're coming together and we can fight back against a lot of this stuff through communication. And this is what I learned, I guess, about 3 years ago now. Last year, that really doesn't count because of the pandemic. But I was able to be part of two TEDx's. The first one I was at MC, and the second one I did my own speech as well. And my secret weapon through all of that, everybody always asks me, "How did you get to do a TED Talk? How can I do it too?" I had a secret weapon, and the secret weapon of mine, she was able to connect with a few of my friends in the industry as well. One of them ended up getting $51 million in funding to the company. Another one ended up being a Money 2020, who had never dealt with any cannabis companies ever. And he's on his second round of that too. And there's a few other people that have been working with this person and truly learning how to cross over into the new normal as we know it, which is unfortunately filled with a lot of people who don't look like us, who don't speak like us. And it's just very important that we learn how to cross that language barrier and reach across the other aisle, because we're losing money because of it. You know, um, several leaders industry wide have been complaining about lack of access to capital, inability to compete with corporations, overall struggle to create an effective universal brand messaging. I truly believe that the solution to a lot of these issues can be developed within a company's existing ranks rather than hiring outside experts or just somebody, any Joe Schmo with a Ivy League background, because they're cut from a different cloth. They don't understand the space that was created before them, and a lot of them, not all of them, but a lot of them don't respect what came before them because of our lack of skills to play in their sandbox. Well, they're in our sandbox, so we need to learn how to communicate like that and preserve what we've built. So this is why I brought on my secret weapon with me tonight. And she is a communications expert, TEDx speaker and coach, Fortune 500 management consultant, a mindset mentor, and the accolades go on and on and on. I'm sure we're going to talk a little bit more about that too tonight. So I brought on Mila Diamond of Diamond Mind International, and she's already helped several executives in the space break through those exact barriers and cross over into the formal setting that we're witnessing develop in real time. So let me bring her out from the green room. Mila, how you doing?
Rico, I'm great. It's so good to see you as always.
Likewise, likewise. Definitely appreciate you coming out and joining me this evening so we can talk a little bit about this project that we've been working on and how timely it is that this article came out this this week. you know, um, for the people who at home who aren't as familiar with you, if you can give a brief introduction, please, to Mila Diamond and Diamond Mine International.
Thank you, Rico. Well, I think you gave me a really good introduction, so I don't even know what else I can say. except that I don't even consider myself a speaker. I more feel like I'm a coach, a teacher. I share some thoughts, I help people. So communication and speaking is just a tool to connect, a tool to express. And one of the first things I tell people when I start working with them, as I told you as much as I told everybody else, that when we're on stage, we're not a star. You are not a star. I am not a star. The star is the audience. So we connect with the audience. And how do we connect with the audience? Which brings a point about what you were just describing, and that is that in our space in cannabis, a lot of people didn't have the opportunities, like some people from Ivy Leagues. They didn't have the training. So they can't necessarily speak eloquently about themselves, about their product, about their industry, and so they're losing business even though they have all this background and it's theirs rightfully for generations, yet outsiders come and take their business. So the best news I can tell is that speaking and communication skills are very learnable. They're coachable, they're trainable, they're learnable. I cannot teach somebody how to have a deeper heart, how to have more experiences in life. It's something they already come to me with. I can help them to open their heart. That's part of the coaching, part of the process. But what I really can do is to help them to express themselves, express their ideas. How do they think of themselves? How do they think about the world in relation to themselves as well? And that connection where you're completely relatable to people you're talking to because their interest, their needs, their desires is our first priority when we speak to them. Not to present ourselves, not present our ideas, thoughts, and our program or our way of doing things, but looking to see where they're at, what do they have, and how can we create a masterpiece together with them. So all the coaching, all the work, all the communication work is completely interactive. It's teamwork, whether
Hmm.
it's one on one or one on to 500 or 5,000 or whatever, the whole world.
Right. And
And I think, yeah, go ahead.
no, I was just gonna say, with me, when we started working together, it's over 3 years ago now. Wow, that's crazy.
Yes,
So, over
crazy.
3 years ago, when we started working together, I had the energy, I had the experience,
Yeah.
but I could not speak. Just like thinking back on, when we did our TEDx training, um, we were able to whittle down. I just can't believe my original speech was 32. I just looked it up. Like I still have my original recording from that. I'm gonna
Yeah.
keep it. I'm gonna keep that as a keepsake forever. But it was 32 minutes. I can't imagine being on stage and keeping people um, intrigued, keeping people connected with my messaging for 32 minutes. Um, what are some of the things? I know you said you can bring like three different
Mhm.
points for us to hold on to this evening before we give it a little teaser into our programming that we've been building. What are some of these methods that you bring on with a lot of your students, and what are the three most important things you would think that you think that cannabis entrepreneurs need to be aware of and need to develop in order to better get across their messaging and to open a lot of these doors that they seem to be finding closed when they arrive.
One of the things that I have observed that most people lacking, and it's not only in cannabis industry, in all industries, when they communicate, they come across just the way they always do, just speak casually. So if I grew up, let's say, in a location in a zip code where everybody was very proper, very polite, very straight, laced up, whatever, to the teeth, right?
Hmm.
When they communicate with anybody, that's how they speak. But if they come to the community that's more relaxed, more fun, more expressive, people wouldn't be able to relate to them. On the other hand, if somebody grew up in a zip code where it was very casual, slang, whatever it might be, it's local, it's by location all over the world. Every little area has its own dialect, its own language. They don't communicate with somebody, let's say, who is an investor at high level, because when they come across like someone different. Most of the investors, for example, it's just an example, as an investor as an example, they are more business minded, and they
Mm-hmm.
often are more formal, more business minded. So when we communicate with these people, we need to kind of match them, what I call mirroring. It's not a trick, it's just a polite way of being received, to communicate on the same level as the person you are talking to. So if we're talking about presenting to investors, for example, research the company, research who these investors are, what kind of businesses do they invest in, what side of business do they usually invest, look at the companies that they actually brought on board and invested in, and see what kind of people are this, who got their attention, who got their money, and see what you can find in yourself to bring yourself to that level. For example, investors usually look for return on their investment right away, as soon as possible. So they're looking, can they make money with you? Well, they look at you, you are the product. So if they can relate to you, they will automatically trust you more. They will automatically listen to you and respect what you have to say. If you come across completely like you're from a different world, they will feel confused. Confused people don't buy, confused people don't invest. So we need to make it very clear to them about who we are. And we need to make sure that we come across to them on their level. So if they're dressed up in suit and tie, even though you might absolutely do not like it, dislike it, you disrespect that kind of a lifestyle. But if you come to these investors, you should dress the way that they would relate to. If you, on another hand, you go and speak, let's say, in school, in high school, and you're doing some inspirational talk and talk to kids, try to dress down a little bit, not so dressed to the nines that kids wouldn't be able to relate to you. Dress the way a little bit, at least some element, maybe sneakers, maybe something. I don't know what it is. For each person, you need to follow your own brand, but at the same time, something that is intersection between your brand and the people you're talking to. So that's a kind of a mirroring technique.
Mm-hmm. It's like a little
That's,
bit of relatability, and I think
yes.
that it made me cringe a little bit, getting into the space. Um, or I guess not getting into the space, but when things started to shift, I say about 4 years ago, about four
Mhm.
years ago in the space, when California went legal and we're starting to see a lot more less melanated people. Just keep it that. And I was happy, leaving corporate finance. I didn't have to code switch as much as I did in that setting, and I was able to be myself to a T. And I was happy, because I was wearing suits every single day for the last 10 years of my life, and I finally get to wear jeans, or I get to wear sweatpants, and I can close a huge deal wearing, wearing jeans or wearing sweatpants. But things are changing. And a lot of the people from the lane that I was in before, they're moving here. And we have to start thinking about that when we're in terms of bringing companies public, in terms of gaining investment that our companies need, um, uh, to forge a path or to forge a runway that's solvent to make sure you continue to feed your family, right?
Right.
Um,
Yeah.
And until, you know, everybody from the streets, until we just take over this shit, it's just something that we're gonna have to something we're gonna have to deal with. And it really struck a chord with me. But that's just the way of the world. We are in a capitalist society globally, and when you look at the world leaders, G4 summit or the G8 summit, G8 summit or whatever, like what they're all wearing suits, they're all
Yeah.
wearing like
Yeah.
formal business attire. People know that our industry did come from the legacy. It came from like the trap, came from a legacy point of view, and so it's not going to be, I don't think it's ever going to be to the point where you have to be dressed to the nines to do a lot of the stuff that you would in mainstream business. But just like you said, you have to meet people halfway. You have to be able to um, give them something that they can connect with, give them something that resonates with them, that'll inspire them to support your initiative, right?
Yeah, exactly. Because when we come completely appearing from a completely different background, dress differently, speak differently, it's pretty much we're speaking a different language. So imagine you're going somewhere and you're having a business meeting with somebody and you speak different languages that neither of you understand each other. There will be no connection there.
Right.
So in order to connect, we need to speak the same language.
It's
We need to
true.
get on
It's
the
true.
same page.
And it goes both ways too. So I know a
Oh
lot
yeah,
of that's something we can also talk about at a later time. But a lot of people that are new to the industry, they don't speak our language either. So
absolutely. Yeah.
there's
And
probably a
it
lot of
also,
go ahead.
yeah, yeah, and it also depends on the lane in a business. So let's say if somebody is in a lifestyle lane, then it could be more relaxed, a little bit more casual, fun. But when we're talking about medical cannabis lane,
Right.
you need to come across more professional because suddenly you have a different level of scrutiny.
Hmm.
So you need to
And
be a little bit more formal.
yeah, and in the business lane as well, unless you are 100% representing a lifestyle company, chances
Yeah.
are if somebody's coming to the table with millions of dollars, you're probably going to want to dress up for that meeting or that
Absolutely.
presentation. And
Yeah.
you're going to want to do your research on the types of deals that they've done, the types of um, accolades that they've achieved, and just knowing your audience, really, right?
Yes, very much so. That's like key point when you go and speak anywhere. I always ask, who is your audience? Who is it? Tell me
Mhm.
specifically, describe them. And when you speak to this audience, let's say we had a client of mine and very good friend, including yours, who spoke at Money 2020.
Mhm.
2,000, 20,000 people, however many, I always told him, you don't speak to 2,000 people. You speak to one person 2,000 times. So
Mm.
you connect with one person in the audience and you speak to that person and then you switch to somebody else, but it's still the same person. So you speak to the same person 2,000 times or however many people are around you.
That's a great way of looking at it.
Yeah, because that creates that intimacy. When you are speaking and you just scanning the audience like that and looking in the back of the room, that's one of the most heinous advice I heard for public speaking. If you're nervous, look in the back of the room, look beyond people's heads, look in the wall so you don't get distracted. I was like, nonsense. Look at
Right.
the person. In fact, before my presentations, before my speeches, I usually go around and I meet people, actually introduce myself, we chat a little bit. I asked about them, what are they doing, why they were there, we just have a chat. We just casually getting to know each other. So when I get on stage, I feel that there is a group of friends in front of me, at least a handful of friends in that huge audience.
Mhm.
And you connect with everyone like you speak to one person.
Yeah, I think that's what actually that's 100% what I was taught when I was younger. Look
Yeah,
above
yeah,
them. Don't look at the crowd.
yeah.
Look above them. Or
Yeah.
was the other one like I picture everybody naked.
Naked,
But,
exactly. I was like, okay, I don't think I want to do that.
right, like, do I really want to figure
I'm
out
not sure. I want that.
I don't think so. I'm not good.
I know.
Not going down
And
a
then,
rabbit hole there.
yeah. Well, they say to do that so that you don't feel as nervous, that people are kind of on equal ground. I have a
Hmm.
better advice for not being nervous.
Right.
Translate your nervousness, your fear into excitement, because physical symptoms of fear and excitement are very similar. You might be trembling a little bit. You might be sweating a little bit. You have your dry mouth, right?
Hmm.
So
Especially
you
in this
you
industry.
exactly. Funny. Right. So excitement and fear have similar characteristics physically. So when you
Hmm.
feel that fear, you just conditioned your mind that you're afraid. Change it to excitement and think that I'm so excited about being on stage right now. I'm so excited to speaking to these people. I remember one time I got cold feet before a big presentation, and my mentor was backstage, thank goodness. And I confided in him. I said, I'm actually getting cold feet. And he's like, one thing to know, it's not about you.
Oh,
It's not about you. Your message is more important. Go there and give your message that people need to hear. It's not about you, it's about them. And that's it. All my jitters went away because I realized it's not about me. I don't have to be self-conscious. I need to focus on people. When you focus on other people, your uh, your anxiety immediately disappears. You're just there to serve. That's it.
I love that. I love that. I'm here to serve. I love that.
Yeah.
So number two. So tip number two. So keep them
Tip number
interested and entertained. All right. So
yeah.
um, tell us a little bit about that. Like how can we keep an audience that we're not as familiar with? How can we keep them interested and entertained?
There are so many techniques. There, like I don't even know where to begin, but create scenes, create dialogues, and tell stories. Everybody listens in when you tell a story, especially if you bring people in with you into the story. So, for example, remember when we were working on your talk, on your TEDx talk, and you were describing what happened, like about like in a third person, like you were describing the scene that was happening between you and your stepdad and then with your mom, and you were talking about it, and I understand that emotionally it was very hard for you. So you, in a way, you disassociated, you removed yourself emotionally by just making it a third person. It's right there. And I said, let's make it a dialogue. Let's use their language, their tone of voice, and make it specifically like as if the audience are present there and they're part of that interaction. And that's what pulls people right in. So create a dialogue whenever possible. Also, what's important is to have vocal variety. A lot of people speak on monotone because they're in their heads.
Mm,
And in order for it to break away from the monotone, first of all, I think personally, it's my personal opinion, I think people have bad role models when it comes to speaking. For example, if if they heard their professor in the college or school that was teaching always very monotone tone, like always like on the same, like
on the
boring, you
level.
were falling
Like
asleep.
like
But
Ben Stein, like Ben Stein or
that's right,
Bueller,
yeah.
Bueller.
True, true. But what we learn as we're observing these people, this person is out there by the lectern on stage, and they speak like this. Therefore, when I'm on stage, I'm going to be speaking like that. That's a bad role model. So
Right.
find yourself speakers that you really enjoy how they speak, and don't compare yourself. Look up to them, learn from them, but just don't compare yourself, because when you unlock your own flow in communication and speaking, you will be unique. You will be you. So use them as an inspiration, but don't try to be like them. Be yourself.
It's such a good point. You are unique,
Yeah.
period. Everybody is different, and it's okay to emulate a certain style or emulate a certain delivery, but you have to let your own personality shine through because people
Yeah.
adhere to that. People are drawn to unique personalities, unique standpoints. You want to be able to stand out from the crowd. That's how you get standout money. Period. That's how you get standout opportunities.
Yes.
Not being a follower, but being the first person with an idea or the person that took a risk to
Yeah.
say something, to do something that nobody else was doing around them. Those are the type of people that make individuals with deep pockets place their bets on you. You're the horse that they want to place a bet on. All right. All right. So
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. And part of that, as far as keeping people interested, it's just pure practice as well. You need to practice well. So practice doesn't make it perfect. Perfect practice makes it perfect. So make sure you learn the right skills and then go and speak a lot, meaning never say no to an opportunity to speak. That's what I've learned from my mentors. So always have something in the back pocket, any kind of presentation about yourself, about your company, about your products, anything, always have something. And always try to, like, whenever somebody invites you for an interview, for example, online chat, any opportunity you have, go and speak always.
the
We
more
learn
at
from it.
bats you have, the better chance you have of hitting the ball, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. So there are so many great techniques. Like one of the techniques that is very painful, I have to say, I had to, like, first of all, the technique is record yourself and then watch yourself speaking. So if
Mm-hmm.
you're asked to present somewhere or if you're doing an interview, do it, but record it and then listen and watch yourself. So when I was going through training, very intense training for 1 year on speaking, like really intense. I was getting ready for the international speech contest. And I was working with mentors and I was watching a world champion of public speaking on a slow motion, watching, not listening, listening and not watching, watching it together, it backwards and forwards. And then I was watching myself. I had to have like half glass of wine and cookies next to me, and I had to be like somewhere in Starbucks, because if I would be at home, I would be in tears under my pillow.
Right. I would always take shots. I'll, I'll take a, I'll take like
Take a
three
shot.
shots. I'll take three. I used to drink a little. I used to drink a little bit more than I do now, but I'll take 3 shots before I ever had like a speaking engagement or something to loosen myself up. And the good thing is, I would deliver, and people liked it. The bad thing is, I never remembered what I said.
There we go. You see, I never drink or I never take anything before I go on stage. However, when I watch myself afterwards, when I watch a recorder, that's when I need a drink
Right.
of something.
I think it's good. It's one thing that I never did until we started working together is putting
Right.
yourself in that mindset, putting yourself in that same frame of being when you're practicing, right? Because practice
Yeah,
doesn't make perfect. Perfect practice makes perfect, right?
exactly.
Somebody,
Yes.
a wise woman once told me that. So tell us. So if you can tell us a little bit of the third tip that we're going to leave people with tonight, personal
Yeah.
development and mindset for success. Let's talk a little bit
Yeah,
about that.
absolutely. So, as you remember, when you and I started working together, the first thing I did, I said, honey, you need to learn how to meditate, right? You need to learn how to meditate because, um, well, frankly, you were all over the place. You were a little bit distracted with a lot of opportunities coming your way. How do you prioritize? How do you keep yourself from going crazy, right? So it's
Yeah.
like morning routine, morning and evening routine, a must. You get up, you take cold shower, right? Cold shower.
I haven't in a while. I need to get back on
I
that.
haven't in a while, but when we were working together, you did.
Hmm.
That would be a great thing to do. It's actually also great for your immune system to stay healthy, especially now. So,
Hmm.
cold shower immediately followed by meditation. And I'm talking about serious meditation, focusing, 100% focus, trying to stop thought. And that's some of the things that I teach actually seriously, because I studied with the master of meditation for 15 years, and I've been teaching it for forever, since
Yeah.
92. So that is extremely important. Meditation gives you focus. You develop focus because it's not the kind of meditation where you just lie down and listen to some kind of a guided meditation or music. It's not like that. You sit up straight. There are no distractions. You put your headphones on with the music, meditation music that's really intense and focused, and you clear your mind and you stop thought. The music creates that kind of a buffer from the world, helps you to focus. And meditation creates clarity, focus, being collected. It refines your mind, it refines your nervous system. You become much more intuitive and much more confident. You because we all have power within us. But most of the time when we're stressed, we're cut off from our power. We're cut off from our power supply, from who we
Hmm.
are internally. And through meditation, we reconnect with who we are. We reconnect with our own power. And then we can share this power through whatever we do, through our business, through public speaking, whatever your vocation is, whatever your passion is, you will be much more in tune with what needs to be done, because you have made tremendous progress and changes in that area, to the point where I remember seeing someone who was a marketing executive attended your event like about a year and a half ago during the previous company, what was it, Can Gather?
Hmm.
And she said she couldn't recognize you. That I was like, what happened to Rico? I remember him like 3 years ago whenever she saw you before we were working together. And she's like, he's like a different person. He's so collected. He's so focused. I just don't recognize him. I was like, well, thank you. She didn't know who I was. So I was
Yeah.
really good to hear it.
Well, it's about with me. I've always been able to perform, be perform highly in the midst of chaos, right?
Yeah.
And I think it got to the point where I would rely on chaos for me to grab one of those opportunities. But after my company went public, Baker went public.
Yeah.
I think I was High Times 100 most influential people, and I was the difference between then and before that moment was I didn't have to be in the public arena. People didn't have to know this face. They knew my name, so I could sift through a lot of these inquiries. I could sift through a lot of these calls and um, uh, I guess opportunities that were just out there, and I could pick whichever one that I wanted to, and I didn't have to worry about like blowing this person off, like, not paying attention to this person because they saw me out in public, they wouldn't know who I was, right? But at that moment, like I'm more of a public figure.
Yeah.
I need to start building my own personal brand and start building my own personal value, and that's when everything started to crash. Because like, oh yeah, remember me at this party or remember me at this event? Well, you said you were gonna do this, you said you were gonna do that, and I was like, I have no idea who you are, man. And I was just like, I would have a cadence, and I would just like go up say the same things to everybody. Just find myself in the loudest of situations, not just the loudest of rooms, the loudest of situations, and just be a star there, and just like blow everything off and just like go back with this opportunity because it just makes sense, right? And then when I got out into the public space, it was a clusterfuck. like 100%, it was a clusterfuck. So like when we started doing a can of gather, I'm like, okay, I'm on stage now. I've never been on stage in front of all these people alone. I've always had like a team with me or something.
Right.
What do I say now? What do I do now?
Yeah.
This person looks important, but this person also looks important. How do I prioritize?
Yeah.
So
I
I think,
remember.
yeah, and so meditation really helped me out with that. The cold showers as well. If you are a high functioning, I know you don't like when I say this, but high functioning ADHD person like me, you need that calm in your life in order to really prioritize and really settle down. And you don't feel
Right.
like the walls are crashing around you, because that's what it felt like to me. Before I started getting on stage in front of people, like
Hmm.
I'm out in my pajamas. I'm in my car in my sweatpants, like communicating with people on my laptop or whatever. But I never really had to have hundreds of eyes on me at once, waiting for me to say the right thing to all of them, right?
Yeah.
So I really feel like the meditation helped more than anything else. The cold showers were really really great for me,
Hmm.
and just like overall, just staying and trying to stay in shape, trying to stay healthy, and
Yes,
being,
exercise.
yeah, just in being, I guess, transparent with myself. There's one
Right.
thing to be transparent with everybody you're with, and sometimes over communicating, but just being honest with yourself has really helped me get to the next level, I would say.
I agree with you completely. From my point of view, I just saw a diamond in a rough. I saw this tremendous talent and enthusiasm and brightness and ingenious mind, but it definitely required work. But you've been working on it, and it's been great. You've been making incredible progress. I'm so proud of you because look, now you have Zora, your little
Yes,
girl. She
yes.
is like, what is she, like 10 months now? No, not yet, right?
18.
About
18
how much?
months.
18 months,
18,
right? That's right. She's
yes.
over a year. I keep losing the track of time. And for all this year and a half, she's been in your arms. You've been such an active father, and I'm just so proud of you. You're doing so great, but with so much work, working with the baby, building a business, working with people, helping everybody. You're doing great considering everything that you have to carry. I think you're
But it's
doing
always,
fantastic.
we're always a work in progress. It's always,
Well, that is true. We all are. So definitely. But I think that all things considered, with what you're handling right now, all these tools definitely work. And one
right,
thing that we haven't kind of emphasized, but I think it's very important, and that is to keep in good physical shape. Meaning, after you get up and take a cold shower and meditate, the next thing is you work out,
right, right.
right?
Is very important, especially this day and age when we're dealing with a pandemic outside. You got to make sure that you're putting the right fuel in your
Yes,
body. You got to make sure that you are staying limber. If you do yoga, if you can, stretching, breathing
right.
exercises,
Breathing, yes,
and physical fitness too. You got to be able to fend off attacks both physically and microbiotic as
yeah,
well.
emotionally, mentally, physically, on all levels.
Mental health is absolutely paramount, and I kind of have the cheat code here because my wife uh, is a director of mental health for a school system here, so I have my own shrink in my house. But for a lot of people that don't have that advantage, like mental health is very very important, especially this day
Yeah,
and age. make sure you take care of yourself and take care of your brain more than anything else.
Absolutely.
So you,
Absolutely. And throughout the day, make sure you do breathing exercises like
Mhm.
pranayama in Sanskrit, because it comes from this thousands and thousands of years of tradition of using breath to regulate your body. Like average person can't do what yogis do, for example, regulate their own heartbeat, regulate the function of their internal organs. They can do that. Average person cannot do that. But what everyone can do is to regulate their breathing. And if you regulate your breathing, you will automatically regulate your bodily functions and your organs as well. It will bring your stress and anxiety under control immediately.
so true. Man,
Yeah.
before we hop off, I know you had a bonus tip for everybody. We said we're going to
Yeah.
give you guys 3 tips today before we preview a little bit of our programming.
Uh-huh.
But what's the bonus tip you have for everybody for
The,
tonight?
bon- the bonus tip for everybody is what I have observed at my Fortune 500 clients, and that is that they had the tendency of, whenever there is a big conflict or challenge with a very large project, critical project, they're having internal problems, they are bringing outside consultants, they're bringing outside expertise. And what I told them was, in order for you to succeed, you need to grow your own experts and you need to compensate them appropriately. So, for example, I come in and I will train them, no question. But if you're not going to compensate them at the level that they deserve to match the market, that they could, for example, go and get another job and double or triple even their income because of this training, you need to match it. And so when you calculate your budget for hiring me, please calculate in raising salaries for people I will be training. So internal expertise is the most valuable. If you train people, um, you give them more responsibility, you give them freedom to create, you give them freedom to move and make changes, like take risks, then they will be committed to the company, they will be loyal. And the same we need to do in the cannabis industry. So I would much rather advocate for growing our internal experts, whether it's going to be public speaking and presentation. For example, somebody could go and hire me right away, and I could go and help them to close the deal with investors. I've done it
Mhm.
before for Fortune 500 clients. I've done a lot of big deals. I raised millions of dollars for their projects from investors. But we can do that internally, because they don't need to hire me to do that. I can train them how to present to investors. I could train them how to do effective presentation that is entertaining and not boring, how to incorporate all their skills, all their power, all their uniqueness, all their colorful expression into their presentations, into their pitches. And that will create your internal, you invest in your business when you invest in your people. If you bring outside consultants, it's spending money. But if you raising internal experts, that's an investment in your own company.
Right on, right on. So, with that being said, um, I agree to a fault. Um,
Okay.
uh, hiring within. All right. So, and that was my closing part, or my closing rebuttal to the article earlier this week, when I said that they fell short in mentioning that plenty of the outside executives, not all of them, and I have to talk about myself too, because I was 10 years out of the game myself, and I was in corporate finance, right? And I was an
Mhm.
outsider at that point. I'd still been doing a little something, quietly in my past life, but I was an outsider when I first got in, and I had to respect everything that was in front of me. A lot of what I'm seeing right now, and a lot of what I'm hearing, about the folks that are a good amount of the folks. I'm not going to say everybody, because there are a lot of good people too, but a lot of these outside executives. they're bringing their own failing industries, racist cultures, internal
Yeah.
politics, corrupt behaviors, toxic masculinity, and failure to respect anything more than profit over to our space as well.
Mhm.
So, for us to properly counter a lot of those behaviors, going online and talking shit about somebody on social media really isn't going to do much um, for yourself or for the industry. But learning how to communicate to the same people that were in the position to hire them is, period.
Yeah.
A lot of these large companies, these MSOs, multi-state operators, that is the language that they understand. These are billion-dollar, multi-billion-dollar corporations. So if you want, instead of getting angry at capitalism, at something that you cannot change, what you can
Right.
change is the way that you speak, the way that you deliver messaging, and the way that you react and respond to a lot of things that are going on. And you can really change that machine from within. Um, uh, the genie's out of the bottle. You can't put it back in. You can't put the toothpaste back in the tube at this point. Big cannabis is here. And we have to look at it on the positive side and see it as big opportunity is here, right?
Yeah.
So hiring within is absolutely pertinent for us to maintain our identity, our culture, um, our um, our goals, for this industry. Like rather than just getting pissed off and you know becoming a keyboard warrior and just talking shit about everybody, every CEO, every investor, every advisor in the space, and
Yes.
calling them out and calling them names. Why don't you become them and make this industry what you envisioned that it should be? So
Right.
with that,
Absolutely.
go ahead.
100%.
Please,
That
please, please, please let us give them
that's
a preview of
why
what we're going to be doing to help them reach that threshold, please.
yes, that's why we thought of creating this program where we would offer training and coaching to people in the industry and to cover all these aspects that we have just described. For
Yeah.
example, we talked about communication skills, of course, public speaking, presentation, branding, self branding. How do you talk about yourself? How do you present your business? How do you present your products and yourself, right? But also how to uh, run the business itself, how to do project management, for God's sake. That's basic in all businesses, except businesses that are kind of like on the just created very quickly, impromptu. A lot of cannabis businesses are done this way, just basically by the seat of their pants, and it works in a small environment. But if you want to go big and into the corporate level, if you don't want to be out leveled by outsiders, you need to level up yourself. So part
Mhm.
of our coaching would be teaching project management, teaching corporate way of communication, because it's part of the doing business. It's business, it's cannabis business. It's not just enjoying the product, right?
Yep. No, 100%. And we just got to make sure. We got to make sure we want to protect the sanctity of our industry. We want to maintain the soul of what has been built for generations. We have to evolve too. You know,
Right.
the fact of everything is money runs this world.
Yes.
And we can try to hold on as much as we want, but unless somebody tears this shit down from the top the top down. Donald Trump almost did
I know.
it. you know it's another
Yeah.
conversation we're not going to have right
Not right
now.
now, but you're right. Absolutely. It's a big
But unless,
concern.
yeah, unless it's torn down like completely, we're gonna have to play by their rules, and you can't show up to the football game with basketball shorts on. All right, so what we're doing is we're what we're building and what we're going to be announcing like next week in full detail is a path to crossover and to get your companies funded, to be able to speak to large audiences and convey exactly what's in your heart, exactly what's on your mind, succinctly, um, fluidly, without losing who you are. You need to be able to push that out in front of these new audiences so your business can survive as we step into cannabis, what I call Cannabis 3.0, which is federal legalization. It's right around the
Mhm.
corner. I think it's a lot sooner than everybody else believes. And,
Yeah.
and I think that's the mindset that everybody should get into as well, because it ain't time to just relax and think
No.
that everything's going to be okay unless you have already exited your company, and unless you have already sold out for 7+ figures, or you have an endless amount of money that you're sitting on. Like, shit is changing very, very rapidly. So that's what we're putting together, programming, so you can hop in, learn from Mila, and take some of these gems. We had enough gems tonight to get you started on at least on some research, but we're gonna have some pretty cool programming coming out for cannabis
Mhm.
professionals, so you can really take your company, you can take your ideas, you can take your movement to the next level. Final word,
Yes.
Mila, please.
Oh, final word. I just envision the world where we have this amazing community where everybody succeeds because everybody is in touch and is able to express their own uniqueness, their own power, and empower everybody else around them. I really love the way you, Rika, do business. You always empower people who are around you. And that's a really great role model. And I would love to see this community to prosper in this kind of way. Collaboration and community, that's what's really important. But also learn, just be like a sponge and learn whatever skills you need to be successful. And public speaking and mindset for success are probably two of the most important skills that one can have in business.
Agreed so much.
Yeah.
Mila Diamond, one of my idols, one of my favorite people on earth. Thank you so very much for coming out and speaking with me this evening. I'm very excited to launch this program and to get cannabis entrepreneurs over that finish line, man. We're so close, and nothing breaks my heart more than to see, you know, this person, that person dropping out right
Yeah.
now because they can't get funding, because they can't speak to a committee, they can't speak to a boardroom, whatever it is. It just breaks my heart because we're so close, and got people who say it's a marathon. It's not a marathon. It's an endurance race. It's grueling. It's hard, but it's gonna be worth it if you make it through these last few these last few quarters, right? So, much love to you, Mila. Definitely appreciate you. Please, please, please check out. Or where can the good people at home find you if they want to get in touch immediately?
Yeah. Well, I'm on Instagram, of course, mila.diamond.tedx.coach, and on my website, miladiamond.com. And I do have a contact form there. People can contact me there as well, or through Instagram, or on Facebook as well. So it's my profile, Mila Diamond.
Much love. I would definitely appreciate that, Mila. Please check out Mila. Check us out, www.canavision.com, Canivision. Look out for that program we're going to be dropping next week. Um, Very, very special. I think it's more important than anything else. You got to know how to speak these people's language, and
Yeah.
in order to make it across that finish line, especially for the folks that are going to be at MJ BizCon next week. Um, I saw it at MJ BizCon 3 years ago. People who don't speak our language, people who can't walk in the same rooms as us. Well, guess what? They outnumber us now. We
Yeah.
got to know how to speak their language. We got to know how to get to that money, and closed mouths don't get fed. Period.
Yeah, we have so much talent in our community, What we do need is to embrace other skills that we don't have yet. Not to bash those skills, but to realize that we need them in order to be successful in business.
Right.
So let's learn and let's make it happen.
No, much love. So much love to everybody tuned in tonight. First, last, much love out in, in YouTube. Um, Veronica, I got
Yeah,
Martian Morris over here. And I know everybody on the East Coast is probably in bed right now. It's almost midnight for them. But we're gonna have this available on our YouTube. We're gonna edit it up a little bit. It'll be available on our YouTube. It's gonna be available on our Facebook through the weekend before we get it edited, and then we're gonna get onto this programming pretty soon too. And we're gonna have a micro podcast that we're going to be working on also, so we can go through just like small tidbits so we can get people into this mindset, man. There's nothing more important than being able to get out your messaging, whether it's about extraction, whether it's about cultivation, whether it's about um, um, grassroots organization, whatever it is. You got to be able to get out your messaging, because if you can't connect with an audience that you're trying to convey a message to, you might as well be speaking in Braille.
right.
Think about it.
True.
So, much love, everybody. Hey, First Last says, great book. Researchers in Chicago say cannabis, talking about COVID-19. Cannabis is a cure for COVID-19. Um, send us that link. I want to check out that link. I do want to check out that link, but I can't put that out on here without me checking make sure that everything's kosher first. All right. Much love,
Right.
First Last. Much love, Veronica, and everybody else still on board with us. And just remember, when there ain't no place else to turn, you can always turn up, baby. Love you all, and have a great night. I'll see you guys on State of Cannabis News Hour tomorrow morning, 9 a.m. Pacific, 12 p.m. noon on the East Coast. Much love. First, last, I'm gonna search it up too. Much love to you.